Good evening, Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live at Pfizer Forum here in Milwaukee. Nothing I can do about it. I got nowhere to go. The building is clearing out, but they are playing music here in the back. Can't go outside because it's raining, so I got to make the best of this. I hope this is palatable for you guys. This is your rap video following Purdue's 78-56 NCAA Tournament win over Yale in the first round here in Milwaukee, setting up Sunday's meeting with Texas, who just dispatched Virginia Tech. Obviously, you watched the game. You probably have a pretty good idea what happened, but that doesn't stop me from just repeating things on video. Purdue wins 78-56. To be honest with you, I think you're a couple of Sasha Stefanovic first half threes away from this being a 25-point game in the first half and not just the second half. I think it was that emphatic a win for Purdue. I honestly don't think you could have asked for a whole lot more from Purdue, both in context, out of context, whatever it might be. I think, Purdue played really well. I think they took care of the basketball. Single most important thing for this team. If they don't take care of the basketball, you don't find out how good you can be, because you've already taken away your chance to compete against the sort of teams that you're going to have to be able to beat from here on out. They made their free throws, 27-33. Obviously, that's not just a flip you switch. I did that again. A switch you flipped. I did that the other day too, didn't I? 27-33, that's 82% on a really high volume of free throws. Ross-Ade did a great job, 8 of 10 from the line. This is what I wrote about in that thing I put on our site the other day. I hope you guys read it. It was 9 things that can really matter for Purdue. But also I wrote my column about how Purdue's got to fill in some productivity gaps to be as good as it can be. And I think you saw a couple of those things kind of come to light here. I think Purdue making its free throws on a lot of fouls, drawing a lot of fouls, I think has been one of the great inefficiencies in this Purdue basketball team. As good as they've been offensively most of the year, that's one of the great inefficiencies of this team. When you draw as many fouls, when you draw 21 fouls and you get 33 foul shots off of it and you make most of them, that's a really big deal. I don't have to tell you that points matter. So every opportunity you get points is a big deal. But it was a very big deal for Purdue because it was a little bit out of character. I think that their best players were really good. I thought Jaden Ivey was really good. I thought Ross-Ade was really good. I think Ivey, had a couple of situations where maybe he dribbled himself into trouble, didn't make great decisions. But I think in a game like this, you kind of ride the lightning and you understand, hey, there's going to be 3 or 4 possessions a game that are going to be kind of the tax that we have to pay in order to have a great player playing great, that kind of thing. But by and large, he was outstanding. My personal sense is that he's really kind of dialed in for this postseason, even more so than usual, and I don't think he's ever really dialed out. But I think he's ready to have a really good March. I think Ross-Ade making his free throws. I think Ross-Ade really showing up on the glass. Ross-Ade being pretty efficient from the floor on low volume of opportunities. Ross-Ade making his free throws. I'll keep coming back to that. That's a really big deal for this team. Ross-Ade asserting himself on the offensive glass. All really big deals. The one kind of inefficiency for Purdue in this game was you got Sasha Stefanovic 5 great looks from 3, in the first half. And I thought that was possible because these teams Purdue's playing now aren't used to, guarding the actions Purdue runs to get him shots. The same sort of stuff that they ran for Carson Edwards and Ryan Klein years ago that made Villanova look like they had never switched an off-ball screen before in their life. Purdue got Stefanovic great looks, was 0 for 5 in the first half. Didn't matter in the end, but that kind of thing will matter, down the line here, starting with Texas on Sunday. Obviously, it's important for him to make shots. He did make shots in the second half. The back-to-back threes in the second half really were what blew this game open, and maybe gave you a little bit of a thought that maybe Purdue's luck is turning a little bit. Maybe I'm being a little bit overly analytical. Maybe I'm being a little too theoretical here, but when you see Stefanovic's 3, in that blowout moment, kind of go in and out, and then defy all conventional laws of physics by going out and then deciding to go back in, just like this, like that. That really hurts my hand, actually. That was a friendly roll for Purdue in a season full of unfriendly rolls. Eric Hunter's 3 at the Big Ten tournament that got them within 1. They're late. They didn't win that game, but that was a big shot that hit the rim like it was full of gravy and rolled in. Purdue's gotten a couple rolls here in these last few games. Maybe Purdue's luck's changing a little bit. I don't know. I do know that the luck on Sasha Stefanovic's 3 that put him up 20, that was luck that Purdue made, because that was Mason Gillis. That was that 9 things thing I posted about Mason Gillis' ability to have that sort of moment. It doesn't jump out as much when Purdue's already up 17 points. But that was Mason Gillis right there in a nutshell. How did he get in this nutshell? Anyway, he forces a steal at one end, dribbles up the floor, throws a ill-fated lob to Jaden Ivey. That goes haywire. Gillis hustles to get it back, misses himself. Travion Williams is well-positioned, probably in part because of Gillis' effort, drawing people away from Travion Williams. He grabs the ball, Stefanovic hits the 3. Mason Gillis made that play. That was a consummate Mason Gillis play, and I think this was a game where some of your secondary pieces really mattered. Gillis being one of them. I thought Ethan Morton did an unbelievable job live. I'll like to go back and watch it, but they moved him a little bit onto Azar Swain when he had some success against Eric Hunter and had some success against Isaiah Thompson. I thought Morton did a great job on Swain. His height and length really mattered. By and large, though, I think Eric Hunter did a good job on Swain, really made him work for everything he got, things like that. This is a very limited offensive basketball team Purdue played today in Yale. Swain was the guy, and I thought Purdue did a good enough job. He obviously got his numbers, but he was 8 of 19 from the floor for 18 points, kind of the Keegan Murray Big Ten Tournament title game deal where he ends up with 19, but he did it on 19 shots, 16 shots, whatever it was. You can kind of live with that as long as somebody else doesn't go crazy and beat you. And nobody from Yale was capable of doing that, even though the one kid threw in the three-pointer there in the first half, the same way that if I had to take a duffel bag and throw it up on somebody's roof, I would throw it the same way that dude shot that shot. It was just, that's the best way I can describe it. In a season full of crap threes being made against Purdue, that was a new one. That was an entirely new species of crap three that, was invented here today against Purdue. But that shot doesn't matter. Not a single play Yale made in this game mattered because Purdue was really good at both ends of the floor. They held Yale scoreless for, I think, 8.5 minutes. Yale at one point missed 15 shots in a row. You've got to be doing something right defensively for that to happen, even if you're not playing the greatest offensive team in college basketball. I thought Purdue, again, coming out of the Big Ten Tournament, I thought Purdue had been defending at a pretty high level. I don't think that was Purdue's concern. The turnovers were Purdue's concern. The turnovers, Purdue did well with that today. They committed 12, but the box score doesn't matter because the last 10 minutes of this game were garbage time. And Jared Walbrin had 2 of those turnovers. There were some turnovers where the game just gets kind of casual when you're up by 25 points. So I don't think the number belies the reality of how well Purdue did taking care of the basketball. So could have asked for much more from Purdue in this game. So a great start for Purdue. Texas is going to be a hell of a challenge. No storylines in this one. Lots of demons to exercise here. Chris Beard has beaten Purdue with 2 different teams in the NCAA Tournament. Here the last however many years it's been. Want to get past him. Marcus Carr's on this team. You've seen Marcus Carr before. You lost a game to him last year in, that you probably shouldn't have lost. Eric Hunter knows his way around Marcus Carr. Well, from a defensive perspective, this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I don't think this Texas team is quite the same as the Texas Tech team defensively that Purdue played in Boston. But I'll say this again. Purdue would have beaten that team with Isaac Haas. And look what Purdue has now. Zach Edey. I guess we'll find out. These are 2 very different teams, but I think being able to play against a Chris Beard defense with a monster in the middle like they didn't have in that game in Boston, I think that's a big deal. Again, I think Jaden Ivey's warmed up and ready to go here. I think he's about to have he's potentially about to have a really big NCAA tournament. It starts on Sunday because, for all intents and purposes, this was kind of the warm-up. I know you can't take any game in this event lightly. You've seen examples of that over and over again already this year. But I think the way this game played out, this was a warm-up game. Purdue was able to get its starting lineup out of the game with however many minutes left to go. Good deal for Purdue. That's what I got. There are no nits to pick in this game. Nothing for me to overly scrutinize, nothing for me to kind of put under the microscope here, other than maybe making a couple more Sasha Stefanovic threes in the first half. Didn't matter. That's what I got. Thanks, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to go back and watch this before I post it to make sure I'm audible. If I'm not, I'll redo it somewhere. I'm just in a real tough spot here for a spot to do this. So thank you for your understanding. Have a good night.